what they see. So there are two levels right there. First of all, among the sheep, you smell like them, they smell like you. They follow you by smell. That's what the Bible says, that our God is a sweet smelling Savior. But next of all, you start walking before the sheep prophetically, and that's when they follow you by sight. What they see happening, what they see transpiring. But there comes another level where God says, I've got to move you up to another dimension prophetically when you walk above the sheep. And they don't follow you based on what they see or what they smell. They follow you based on what they hear. But they hear it prophetic. Hear it so prophetically that every time you stand up, they hear it roaring out of your spirit, even if your mouth don't open. What are you saying? Last time I was here, there was a sign on the wall in reference to some building funding and some money. You ought to be so prophetic in this hour that even though the sign is down, you hear it every time. Y'all ain't gonna say nothing now. Y'all tighten it up. I feel you in the spirit. But the devil is a liar. That at the moment he stand up behind the sacred desk, there's something in your spirit kicks in that says, I don't care what he preaches about. He's still talking about the vision. He's still talking about getting some more money to take us to another level in God. That's when you know you are moving into the prophetic. Learn to hear. You must learn to listen to God's voice and his direction in our lives in order to receive the instruction that God will move us forward. Point number 2 in the text, Ezekiel not only has to learn to hear God's voice, but after God give Ezekiel a word, the next point, step number 2, if you're going to move in the prophetic or understand the essence of the prophetic, step number 2 is you've got to learn how to obey the voice. Oh, God help me. For the Bible says, if you be willing and... Here's the problem. You got a whole lot of y'all willing, but you ain't obedient. And the other half of you obedient, but you ain't willing. You know how it is. You willing, but you have the ability to do it. You have the desire to do it, but the moment we ask you to do it, all of a sudden you don't want to do it. Then you got the other half of you, you are obedient. You will do it, but you do it with an attitude. And neither one of y'all can't get nothing from God. So when you move to the next level prophetically, you learn how to obey the voice. Despite the fact I don't understand what he's doing. You ain't supposed to understand it. We supposed to seem mystical and spooky and scary. We supposed to seem out of our mind. Because as long as you think I'm out of my mind, you ain't gonna fool with me. You don't know what you don't listen because you don't know what may happen. See, most of you, your problem is you looking for a friend. Oh, y'all ain't gonna like the preacher now. But the prophet don't come to be your friend. That's right. Because see, got to hurry. In the Old Testament, anytime the prophet showed up, the people got nervous. Somebody would stop him at the gate and say, hold up, did you come in peace? Because if you ain't got a piece of word, I'm moving. I'll move to a whole other city if you ain't got a piece of word. But in this hour, the prophet shows up and we, what's up, my nigga? You my fool and my dog. I ain't your fool or your dog. I'm the prophet. They got a word that's going to change your life. So he had to learn how to be obedient until the text says, after God gives him a word, he begins to prophesy. He begins to open his mouth and proclaim and declare a word. Because he has the dew from heaven falling from him. See, some of you need to make sure you get where the dew falls. You hanging out with all those other crazy folk, and you can hang around somebody that got some dew on tell when it had dew last night? Because everything around is wet. Everything around it starts growing. And so he has to learn to obey God. Look at your neighbor and say, you need to obey God. Obey God in what? You need to obey God in his current revelation. Because some of you are doing what God said. You ain't doing what God is saying. The Bible says man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeded. Which means there is always a continual revelation from God. Problem with most believers in this hour, why you can't go any further based on the revelation of what you have right now, because the revelation you have right now is a fact, but it ain't the truth. What do you mean a fact, but it ain't the truth? A fact, it means you got information, but facts change when new information become available. Have all kind of facts on different kind of diseases. But the moment they find a cure, that's new information becomes available, the facts change. Remember when the AIDS and HIV first came out, they was telling us you can get it from kissing, from touching, from everything. They got new revelation, so it was a fact then, but it wasn't the truth. Because as soon as new information came, it changed. But what happens with a truth remains true regardless of the facts. Prove it to me again, preacher. The fact is, I'm sick in my body. But the truth is with his stripes. Wish I had the right folk that understood that with his stripes you're already here. Look at your neighbor and say, I'm already here. So he must learn how to obey God and hearing the voice of God. And see, some of you, the reason why you can't go further in God in the prophetic is because you're not obeying God in your current revelation. And you're wondering, why is things not going forward in my life? Let me help you. Because some of you, it ain't your current revelation. It's because you didn't obey God in the last revelation. Oh, I'm hurting some of y'all right now. You trying to go forward with God. You can't go from 5th grade to 10th grade. You got to go to 6th, 7th, and 8th, and 9th. And some of us, you're trying to jump to a new revelation, and God is saying, you ain't lived the one I already gave you. You ain't lived the revelation on loving folk. And I ain't talking about you want to be an international evangelist. You ain't, that revelation can't come to pass until you fulfill the last one. Look at your neighbor and say, move into the prophetic. Point number 3, I got to hurry. Not only that, but point number 3, Ezekiel, after he prophesies to the bones, I want you to hear me. Ezekiel prophesies. Check out the word that God gives him. When you get time in your leisure, because I ain't got time to go through it. But check out the word that God gives him. When God gives Ezekiel a word, he gives him a fulfilled word. He tells him, Ezekiel, I want you to prophesy. And when you prophesy, I want you to say this, that, and the other. I want you to prophesy not only that the bones come together, but when you prophesy, when you declare this word, not only are they going to come together, but they're going to get sinew, they're going to get flesh, and they're going to get breath. So Ezekiel says, I prophesy, I obey. And when I obey, then but one miracle happened. The bones came together. Why? Because the prophetic is a process. And some of us, you get caught up on the one miracle. And you fail to work the rest of the process. He declares a word. And after declaring the word, the Bible says that the bones come together. And I ain't going to deal with bone, his bone and the hip bone. Y'all all heard that in the Baptist church, so I ain't going to deal with it right now. So he